Story 1. My nephew lied as a kid, but my mother knew and called him on it. He asked how she knew. I think she actually saw him do whatever it was wrong without him realizing. She said his third eye on his forehead winked when he lied. For about 2 years afterward, whenever he lied, he would do it with one hand over his forehead. So we always knew. It was great. Story 2. My kids sneak food from the pantry after they go to bed. I always know because they forget to turn the light off every damn time. I refuse to let them know what their tell is. Story 3. My 5-year-old sneaks into his 18-month-old brother's bed every night. He thinks he's being sneaky, but I hear him crawl back into his own bed when I get up at 5 a.m. Keeps both of them calm because our neighbors are loud and scare them often. Story 4. My daughter's bike was lost or stolen after she left it at the bus stop. After a few days of looking, she had given up on finding it. She was crushed and I couldn't take it. I picked up an identical bike and took the training wheels off just like the first one. When I got home, I tried to pass it off as if I found her bike. A couple of days later, she told my wife that she knew it wasn't her bike, but she didn't want to make me sad by telling me she knew. I know that my daughter knows my secret, but she is keeping it a secret from me. Story 5. My 2-year-old tries to hide a car behind his back when I put him to bed. I pretend not to see it until he gets in the crib and say, "Oh, you got me so good. You tricked Daddy." Then I tickle him, which causes him to drop the car. I take it and hide it. Then I continue to play with him for a minute until he forgets about the car. Story 6. My 5-year-old daughter has a stash of snacks inside a cat tree. The cats usually end up dragging them out, and then I overhear her scolding the cats. I let this go on because 1, it's hilarious, and 2, it's nothing I haven't already given her. Story 7. Mine is still little enough to be very, very bad at hiding things. The other day, he asked for a toffee. I said no. He went and got a toffee from the kitchen counter, hid under the kitchen table, loudly unwrapped it, and when I still didn't react, he said, "I'm eating a toffee." Story 8. My daughter thinks she gets away with reading when she should be asleep. The fact that I have such a large book expenditure each month is also a dead giveaway. Story 9. My son has a crush on a girl in school. He walks home from school every day and visits our neighbor's very old dog. My son gives him belly scratches, and in exchange, my neighbor's dog doesn't tell a soul what my son tells him. However, the dog's owner, who is working nearby in the garden, is an excellent eavesdropper and knows everything, and she in turn shares it with me. He will never know that I know. Story 10. He likes to read my journal. I'm an avid writer and keep several, including my laptop. It honestly makes me laugh because no one, since my little sister ages ago, has expressed such interest in what I write. What he doesn't know is that the one on my laptop is my real one, and it's password protected. The ones I leave on my bookshelf in office are the ones that are safe for him to read. It tickles me to question him about stuff he shouldn't know but knows because he read it in my journal. "Son, how do you know your aunt and I are planning a trip next weekend?" Dear caught in headlights look. I must have overheard you two talking. Story 11. Not a parent, but when we were kids and one of us was sick, my parents would give us those disgusting purple Tylenol flu pills that you had to chew. My little sister would fake taking them and then stash them under the couch. Our house got flooded in a hurricane, and when we pulled the couch out, the carpet underneath was dyed purple from all the pills dissolving in the floodwater. Story 12. My friend has a 13-year-old son. I used his laptop to search for something, and his search history popped up with thick girl walking dog and jiggle physics. Story 13. My best friend is a lesbian. We live in Russia, and it's not safe to discuss openly because her mom is homophobic, so the family doesn't know. Her father surely knows and just avoids all the drama by pretending he doesn't. The last small talk with him at her place was hilarious. "Hi, how are you? Any kids?" "Not yet, no." "Are you also one of them?" "One of whom?" Them pause, looks at his daughter, child-free. Story 14. Right now, my 10-year-old is supposed to be asleep. Instead, she's lying in bed searching for Zorro with his shirt off and composing a folder with the pictures. She has completely forgotten that we share a Google account. She hasn't even gotten to time ship Zorro yet. Story 15. My 7-year-old keeps telling me she needs snacks for class and is selling them to the junior high kids on the bus. She has made almost $60. Her brother ratted her out. Story 16. He had a secret character or identity he dresses up as in his room with a jacket and hat, and he acts out some hero thing. He has never told us what it is. He has been doing it for years. Story 17. One secret is cute. One secret is sad. These are our foster kids. The 3-year-old thinks he's really good at hiding, but he has a tell. He puts on the show Bluey. As soon as I hear Bluey's theme, I know he's hiding somewhere ridiculous, like right next to the bench with half his head hanging out the top, and he's always giggling like crazy. What really gets me is that he evidently puts Bluey on to trick me into thinking he's watching TV. But he will already be watching TV and change it to Bluey, then go hide. The 7-year-old thinks she's got all of us believing that she hates and never wants to see her mom again. It's a protective thing for her because their mom let them down so much that she has to believe it. But I can see how much she misses her. It's heartbreaking. She doesn't or can't hide anything else. She's really bad at lying. Her mouth immediately contorts into a smile whenever she tries, except for when it comes to their mom. Story 18. Mine wakes up early some days and sneaks in to take her phone to play games under her bed cover. I know it every time she does it. I don't tell anything. 30 minutes later, I go to wake her up loudly so that she gets time to put it away. And she pretends to have just woken up, and I pretend to have not known that she was on her phone the last half hour. Story 19. My daughter, who is 10 years old, has been using a shared Google document to chat with a friend while they play games on the Nintendo Switch. She told me yesterday, I delete all the text, so don't bother trying to see what I wrote. I wasn't planning on reading it, but since she spoke up, I went and checked, and it was the most straightforward game-related conversation ever. They discussed which Pokemon they wanted to trade and which courses they wanted to play in Mario Kart. Story 20. Mine is barely a toddler, so right now it's, no, I'm totally not pooping right now, just the floor got really interesting. So I need to squat down to look at it for a few minutes. She plays with her fingers in the carpet as if she's doing a good job fooling us. Story 21. I thought I was sneaky at 11 and smoked my parents' cigarettes, hiding in the barn. My father threw a package at me saying, "Here you go, but not in the barn. You can burn the place down. You can smoke indoors." I stopped because it just wasn't fun anymore. Story 22. I was talking to my dad about getting away with stuff when I was a kid and said, "You never knew that I would stay up reading every night with my flashlight." He got an amused look on his face and responded, "You did that for years and never changed the batteries in that flashlight, did you?" That's when I realized he knew and was encouraging it the whole time. Story 23. Not a parent, but I did hide my cocaine addiction from my parents pretty well. The key was to already have had depression, so they just thought I was depressed again. All better now, though. 6 months clean this month. Story 24. I think my 11-year-old hides how much he really knows about things. For example, he wrote his Christmas list for Santa. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't believe anymore. He's a smart boy, and, the internet is at his fingertips. I just think he won't admit it in case he thinks he won't get any presents, which is not the case. There have also been incidents where he has used a grown-up phrase, such as about sex, and when I've asked him what he thinks it means, he clams up when I explain it to him. Kids are growing up too fast nowadays. Story 25. My 5-year-old is constantly picking his nose, then eating it. Ugh. So I gently remind him, "Nose," when I see him doing it, to which he often looks at me, then puts his head under a blanket and continues rooting around up there. Like I don't know. "I know you're still doing it, buddy." He pops out wide-eyed every time like I'm a wizard or something. Story 26. My 15-year-old thinks I don't know they stay up all night on weekends playing Call of Duty with friends. Kid, as if the tired eyes and the mega sleep in the next day weren't a huge giveaway. Story 27. Went to wake up my 3-year-old one morning and thought he had smeared poop all over the wall, except there was no poopy pull-up. Further investigation revealed the wrappers from the chocolates I told him the night before he couldn't have. When asked if he did it, he said mommy smeared the chocolate on the wall because yeah, she's just like that, I guess. Story 28. The inexpensive prepaid Android phone they bought is used as an alternative device when they are not allowed to use the phone we provide. Additionally, it allows them to install apps we prohibit. Story 29. My 10-year-old always says yes when I ask if he's changed his clothes. Yet, when we do laundry, there are 10 pairs of pants and 1 pair of underwear. Story 30. Probably a lot. That's okay. When they were teenagers, I gave them a lot of privacy and leeway. Teenagers keeping secrets is pretty standard adolescent behavior. Now they are grown and independent. Story 31. My son refuses to sleep at night because he would rather read. We took books out of his bedroom to try and prevent him from staying up very late or just not sleeping. His English teacher gives him 1 new short book each day to read for class. Instead of reading it when he gets home, he reads it in bed, thinking we don't notice. His room is directly below ours, and we can see his light through our vent. I'd rather have him staying up until 10 because he's only got 1 book than staying up all night. My daughter also thinks she is sneaky when she brings toys to school. I haven't heard a complaint from her teacher, so I genuinely don't care. You can hear the clunking sounds coming from her bag in the morning. Story 32. My 8-year-old son was going through a phase where he tried to sneak his television on very late at night and watch until 3 or 4 a.m. Our approach is to let him face the consequences by having an atrocious day being too tired to do anything. I can see and hear what he's watching on Netflix, and it's mostly Pokemon marathons and Teen Titans Go. His school is supportive of that and knows what's happening. He's thankfully not grumpy or aggressive when he's tired, or at all really. This works better than stopping him because then he just finds a new way to be sneakier about things. He stopped trying and now sneaks, reading for an hour under the covers with a reading light after bedtime and is asleep by 9 p.m. Haha. Story 33. I am not a parent, but I thought I had been hiding my smoking nicotine so well for a year. Then one day, she came into my room asking to borrow it for a bit to smoke it. Story 34. I know I am going to get judged harshly, but here goes. For a while, I knew all of them. For years, I had access to her Instagram and Facebook messages, and she never knew. I almost got caught a few times, too, and if I had, it would not have gone well for me. Context. I went through a divorce during COVID-19. My ex is an addict and abusive. The kids are his kids. After about a year of me having the kids, they went to live with him in a trap house because Mom has too many rules. I want to party with Dad, and I could not legally stop it. It was how I knew if they were okay or not. That time of their life was dangerous. They were surrounded by predators, addicts, pimps, and dealers, and it allowed me a way to be there for them. Sometimes when things were bad, I would reach out to my daughter and do a check-in because I knew she needed me. She was just too afraid to ask, and that always opened the floodgates. I stopped doing it when she moved out and her younger brothers went into foster care. While I know it was always an invasion of privacy, it allowed me to step in and prevent things and, once, to help with an overdose that would have resulted in death. But once she was an adult and the boys were safe, I stopped. I hope I don't get roasted. Edited to add. I threw the devices away and never looked at her personal stuff, but I talk to her every day now that she's in her 20s. Story 35. I'm seeing lots of people saying that they know their kids are smoking. You should tell them that you know and help them stop. My grandparents on my mother's side smoked, and they both died before 70. My grandfather died at 66, and I don't remember much about him, but my grandmother would walk 10 meters and be out of breath. She spent almost her entire day lying on her couch watching TV. My grandfather on my dad's side is very active. He goes on lots of walks, goes hunting with my dad and me, repainted his kitchen a few days ago, and makes his own maple syrup, which involves carrying big heavy buckets down a long set of stairs. Story 36. What I'm learning from this thread is that kids past the age of 10 are actually getting away with whatever they are hiding, because there are almost no teenage stories here. Story 37. My teenager thought I wouldn't notice he was not only smoking marijuana but smoking it in his room. He is the second son. Myself and his father work in a high school. We live in a city where it's legal for adults and also very prevalent. He was quickly disabused of his assumptions. Story 38. My kids, ages 16 and 10, stay up until midnight on Thursday nights to watch both of their favorite YouTube channels together. They fight like cats and dogs all week long, but on Thursday nights after I go to work, they make popcorn and spend hours watching Markiplier and old Technoblade videos until midnight, 1 hour before I get home from work. They both think they're being sneaky, and they clean up after themselves, but they forget two things. Popcorn is my go-to snack, and they never delete the YouTube history, which is time-stamped. My 16-year-old is in university now and next year is planning on moving to the dorms. She knows she won't be spending time with her little brother. So this is their way of bonding before she moves out next September. I haven't said anything, and the two of them both wake up at the same time the next day without being cranky. So I've just made sure to buy extra popcorn.